Hey everybody, welcome to K's Tournament Forum. Today we're going to be covering Tekken 7 tournaments that occurred last week during the week of April 29th to May 5th, and then we're going to talk about upcoming events. Last week there were 8 tournaments that I found that were all streamed online, and some of the matches can still be found on the streaming platforms, but let's kind of dive into each of these tournaments, and we're going to be following chronological order, and if you want to jump to a specific thing, look to the jump bar below. So the first one was on April 29th, the Tekken Exchange. This was the fourth finals, in which they're trying to have a series of double elimination tournaments, and then once a month or maybe every other month. It was a little unclear of the regularity of these tournaments, in which the top 4 would then be pitted against each other and still a double elimination. But what was kind of interesting about this is after the double elimination tournament was finished, then they entered the gauntlet, in which half the prize money was for the tournament and half the money was for this gauntlet style of tournament. And so even though that El Negro won first place for the tournament, he actually got second most amount of money, with FDX making the most amount of money. And you can kind of go on to the Tekken Exchange detail source to they explain it. It's a little bit convoluted, in which they should have just ran a round robin style tournament or a double round robin style tournament with just 4 people, and you probably would have had the same amount of results as with the money, and it's just a lot easier to explain. But other than that, the matches were phenomenal to watch, and if you haven't heard of this, you need to go out and check it out and watch these players, and we're going to see these names kind of crop up time and time again. And then on the next day, we had the Iron Fist Friday. This was their 47th tournament that they've held. Again, following a double elimination tournament, this time with 38 entries. And the prize pool is a much better split, and actually not too bad, in which it's paying out to the top 4 players. We see some pretty key names here that have entered this tournament, in which Mac has won: the Jake Man, Emily, Obscure, FDX again. We're going to see FDX a lot with these competitions. But this was another very tight-knit tournament. It was free to enter, to the best of my knowledge, and a decent prize pool, but hopefully we can get a little bit more entries and a little bit more, especially with this tournament running for so long. This is a consistent tournament that you need to check out if you haven't already. And then on May 1st, we had the Return of IronMane. It looks like IronMane took kind of a hiatus for whatever reason, and now they're starting to stream again. This seems a little bit more niche and a little bit more unknown, looking back, in which the stream itself on Max Ninja 15 was very casual, kind of just, it was his own money. He said he put up about $100 and he was trying to raise some more money. It was unclear of how much it was, and it was also unclear of what the payout structure was. He did list that top 3 are getting paid, but I was a little unaware of what that breakdown was. We can assume that it was a 60-30-10. That seems to be a pretty standard thing. And with only 14 people, this seems to be not only a nice tight-knit group of players, in which we have El Negro again. We also have Jumanji showing up. But this is, if you're looking to get into a tournament and kind of expand to not only just kind of the super top tier players, you're going to see some of them. I would really make sure of trying to get in, and if they are running some crowdfunding, this is another opportune time to kind of donate to these crowdfunding people as well. So again, IronMane, hopefully this is going to remain at a standard rate. They used to do weeklies from my information, and hopefully with this return he's going to start doing it again and again. So reach out to Max Ninja 15 and help support this event. And then for our big invitational that we had at the 404 Fighting in Atlanta, Georgia, they ran an invitation only tournament, double elimination capped at 32 players, in which it started at 1,500, and then as well through crowdfunding we're able to raise funds in Matcherino, and it paid out to the top 8 players, as you see the splits there. And I mean, this is there's really no explanation for 404. These are the top Atlanta players, and we see Anakin, Pokechop, Shinblade, Abstract, and Prophet all there. If you're looking for top tier competition, and this is offline masks are required, and they do try to follow a lot of good standards with sanitation and everything else. But overall, if you're in the Atlanta area and you can go to these events, go to these events. This is invitation only, so I highly recommend just watching it streamed because you can't play other than casuals. But we're going to talk about 404 in just a little bit later. But this is a premier fighting event, and we're going to talk about 404 in a bit. Then next on May 3rd, we had the Cyberstun City. This is their 58th in which they had, and again, we have some familiar faces like Mac winning this one as well. Double elimination, 29 entries, not as much as a prize pool, and this is still a great opportunity for your online warriors to go out there and try it out. Basically, any entry that's less than 60, you need to try to at least go to, especially if it's kind of free, assuming that you have the availability to try it out. Because not only are you going to possibly run into some more known players, you're going to see a lot of players with diverse play styles to really rank up. So this is overall a really good tournament to enter. It is an 80-20 split, so it is much more focused on just winning first or second. But in my personal belief, I think we need a lot more of this style tournaments or winner-take-all tournaments. But that's a debate for another day. But you can still find all the VODs temporarily at Toronto top tiers and help support the event in the future, as they do seem to be run every week. Now we move to Chicago with ChiTek. This is their 47th, in which you can see everything on Puppy Swarm. And usually they have many different guest casters to join in with this Tekken crew. The standard 60-30-10 split with 45 people, which is a good number to have. And we have a lot of the usuals of Shadow, Be Rich, Mac, VDX, Shinblade, Jumanji. A lot of really great players. That you can go out and just kind of test your skill, test your might type of thing. There's not much else to say about ChiTek. It's really good, really solid, really standard kind of tournament, and you need to be able to check it out every Tuesday. Enter in and see how you do. Then we're back to 404. They had their fight night, which is on Wednesdays. This again is an offline tournament, so you have to be in Atlanta. They do streaming on 404 eSports. It was unclear of what the pay structure was, but they did say that it's a 60-30-10 split. And I know that they try to do a combination of community outreach donations as well as some pop bonuses. But again, that was pretty unclear for this event. And kind of notable players as we have Poke Chop again in the top 8 as well as Abstract. But again, some really solid games. And then afterwards, when the tournament's done, they do stream casuals for a long period of time. So this is a second recommendation. If you're in the Atlanta area, you need to be checking out 404 event because it's super solid. And this is a weekly held event. So if you missed it last week, check it out next week and kind of continue on from there. And then for kind of the biggest of the big, we have the ICFC, in which they entered in Season 2, Week 6. We had 119 entries coming in, so this is the biggest field. This is an online-only tournament, and again, we are starting to see a lot of very familiar names. AccuMajor took it over Shadow, who was supposedly supposed to be the winner. Shrike made it much further than he was supposed to. He had an excellent showing. El Negro actually fell a little bit behind, especially compared to his other tournament results, but still super solid coming in 5th, as well as Emily doing a really great job. The predictors were showing that Emily shouldn't have made it that far, so she majorly outperformed. And Rip, it's glad to see him back in the top 8 as well. And Conflict 2020, this is a player that actually I'm not too familiar with, so seeing him crack the top 8 was actually really exciting to see his play. And the ICFC, they do majority through Matcherino and crowdfunding, in which they pay out to the top 4. And once their system is, once they cap over 1,000, kind of that leftover spillage goes into next week's tournaments as an incentive to kind of keep rolling and rolling and rolling. But these players are going to keep fighting in these weeklies until there's the season finale end, in which through total accumulated points, there's a big fight with there. So if you're interested in this tournament, again, it's free to enter every Wednesday. Just note if you're on the East Coast, because majority of the casters on the West Coast and it starts late, you're probably going to play until about 2 a.m. So if that's an issue for you, well, that's an issue for you. But at any rate, you can always enter in and play until you need to stop. And really, if you're making it to the finals till 2 a.m., I think it's worth staying up for. So if you haven't heard of ICFC, maybe you've never heard of Tekken 7, you need to check out this because this is a super premier event. And just kind of a wrap up with all those tournaments, I just kind of ranked them by money as well as putting the amount of people that were in there. Obviously, our Invitational had the biggest prize purse, and it was capped at 32 players, followed by ICFC, which it had 708 with nearly 120 people. And we just kind of go down from there. But if you're looking at what tournaments to try to enter in each week, I would definitely go back, check the sources, check out these tournaments, and seeing not only how you rate against other competitors online, but also hopefully making some cash for some external reward structure there. So other than what happened last week, I want to briefly talk about the upcoming events and new announcements to put on your radar, because ultimately that's what is, I feel, missing. And so we need to know what to plan for. The next thing is the Buffalo Classic. This seemed to be a weekly run tournament. However, for whatever last week, it wasn't run, but they're starting up again just with a week gap. So May 6th, which is today actually, later tonight, you still have a chance to sign up. They do have a Matcherino to try to fund it. So if you're not competing, at least sign in, type in the numbers, and I think it's 25 cents or 50 cents for each of those codes. So if you want to at least support the event, log in real quick, log into Matcherino. It's totally free to sign up, and just type in the code. And if you want to put a little bit extra in the purse, knock yourself out. But definitely check it out. And that is all going to be streamed on Buffalo FGC Live. Not much to say about it. It looks like a pretty good tournament, and that's what I'm going to be watching tonight. Other big events, this has actually been in talks now for a while, and they finally made the announcement in Michigan. They're having a special round robin style tournament, and it looked like it was exclusive for Michigan players to kind of showcase their talent pool and everything else, in which they're broken down into 4 groups. And I think there's about 5 or 6 players per each group. They just started adding more players to groups. That's why I'm a little unsure of what the final numbers are. But that's going to begin on May 14th, and it should all be streamed kind of per day for each of those round robin style tournaments. And then I think the winner of each of the round robin style tournaments is going to get fed into another double elimination tournament. But I could be a little off on that. But definitely put this on your calendar, May 14th to the 16th. It should be a lot of really great Tekken that you're looking for. And if you're really interested in kind of not only looking at Atlanta with 404, but this is also going to specifically put in the demographics of how Michigan kind of stacks with itself to then compare to the rest of at least the United States of how great Michigan is. So put this on your calendar and check it out in the next couple weeks. There's also another huge announcement through Combo Breaker, as everyone should know, a big premier tournament that's held in Chicago. But with everything going on, it's been delayed now for 2 years. But instead, they've been trying to put together an event working with a bunch of different content creators, in which now they are calling it the Look Alive, in which it uses showcase collaboration of many different organizers. And from what I've read about it thus far, it's going to be majority of pre-production, so pre-recorded material that they're showing, but also there is going to be some kind of live events or live interactions with the chat and everything else. You can check out more information on Combo Breaker about that, but so far there's not too much. But we have essentially until the end of the month, May 29th and May 30th. To me, it looks like this is going to just be to help support the artists of the FGC that's missed selling their art at live events, but also showcasing a lot of other talented content creators. And I haven't seen a tournament there, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was at least an invitational tournament that they're going to show just try to keep it alive a little bit. A lot of details are still under wraps as this details just came out 2 days ago at the time of this recording. So put this on your calendar again, and hopefully Combo Breaker is going to continue to be incredible. And the last thing that we have for today, Secret Garden offline. This is supposed to be the first major offline tournament again, in which this is going to be sponsored by at the 404 venue. So if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, this is looking for you. This is June 26th. I've already seen a lot of players talking about the interest of booking flights, and now they're trying to figure out where to stay. It didn't look like they registered with a hotel. That's why it's a little tricky. And so either you're going to have to know somebody that you trust, or find a hotel and some other transportation to get to the venue and continue on. I was a little unclear of it mentions the seed in a first to 5 bracket. I was trying to get a little bit more information on exactly how they're doing that or at what stage they're going to do that. Hopefully more information is going to come out. It's very interesting to do a first to 5 bracket for kind of math and statistical reasons, but that's besides the point. It's interesting to start seeing just different formats. A lot how we started today's discussion with that gauntlet style payout structure, which was a little iffy, but having more first to 5s at different levels is going to be interesting because it shows the kind of that exhibition match, almost the death match, to get a little bit more knowledge of the separation of gap of performance between two players. So with that, that's all we have for today. We talked about previous tournaments and upcoming events to put on your calendar. This is hopefully going to be a weekly update of what has happened in the past and what's going on in the future. If you have any recommendations or tournaments that I missed, I'm only going to stay within that kind of week time span looking backwards. So if I missed something last month, I don't need to know about it. But if something is coming up that you want to promote that's in the Americas, all of North America, let me know and I'll make sure to talk about that content in the future. So again, this has been Curtis with K's Tournament Forum. Thanks for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you next time.